the therapists, the psychiatrists, the psychologists all want to help. The patients all really need help. What the heck is all this stuff in the middle? If we can get rid of it in the next 5 years, I think it'll be amazing.
Man, welcome to the intro. No need for introductions. All about the world and the world what we discussing. Where every single thought that we had came from something. So it's funny that we made it when we started here with nothing. Gotta open up your mind just to find out why. When you lost inside the dark, just gotta turn on the light. And no matter what you do, you never run from a fight. Because we fighting to be better, and that's why we strive.
Hi, I'm Corey McCain, CEO of We Strive, the #1 platform for personal trainers, gym owners, and coaches to both manage and scale their business. I'm your host for Why We Strive, where every Tuesday I sit down with some of the most incredible tech founders, investors, and creatives to find out how, when, where, and why they strive. Be sure you tune in every single Tuesday and check us out at whywestrive.com for more info. Now, let's get to this week's episode. Cool. We're here with the founders of Legion Health. Your boy Yash, apparently. I'm saying that wrong before. So your boy Yash, your boy Danny, your boy Arthur. Do you guys want to quickly introduce yourselves and then we'll get after it?
Yeah, I'm Yash, one of the co-founders of Legion Health. Personally passionate about healthcare, mental health, and I love fajitas.
And LaCroix, clearly.
And LaCroix.
Not sponsored.
TM.
TM. Danny?
I'm Danny, originally from Florida, work on a lot of product stuff for us. Also passionate about like the mental health space. That's probably why we'll get to that, but like why all three of us are kind of here doing what we're doing. Really like cooking tiramisu. We'll go with that.
Okay, cool. We'll probably cut that out. Sweet. And Arthur?
Probably cut most of my clips out anyway. Let's be real.
Yeah, my name's Arthur. Thanks for having us, Corey. Co-founders of Legion Health. Grew up in a very small town in Colorado.
Okay. What city?
Have you heard of Trinidad?
I have. I don't know anything about it though, but yeah.
Yeah, so you might have heard of it because of a number of reasons. It was a sex change capital of the world for a little while.
Okay.
A very small hospital, so it's kind of esoteric. It was also supposed to be the capital of Colorado before Denver took the cake.
Nice.
And it's also the first place that people drive into if they're coming into Colorado from Texas. So
there you go.
Three reasons you might have heard of it.
Good stuff. Dude. Hey, wait, so CEO, right? Yes, no? Okay. CTO? COO. And then are you CTO or?
CBO/president. It's interesting because we all have equal equity and we kind of interchangeably work on things. It's we're just like we have to have titles for investors.
No, I mean it's all kind of like made up at the end of the day. Like I'm CEO, but I'm like I do our SEO, so it's like it doesn't really matter. Exactly. So whoever wants to take this over, but what is Legion Health? We're going to start off with the obvious question.
Totally, go for it, Yash.
Yeah, so Legion Health is a turnkey mental health network. What that means is we enable independent therapists and psychiatrists. We capture their availability within our platform, and then we make their availability more accessible to patients who want to access it.
Okay.
Quick context behind that is that we found that many practitioners, like many of these therapists, psychiatric nurse practitioners, psychiatrists, are actually really fantastic, and they have additional availability despite like a mental health crisis. They want to see more patients, and generally, they work full-time or part-time jobs, or they're just starting up their private practices. And so, if we could sort of be the conduit through which they can see more patients, then that could be, obviously really great for patients who can't otherwise see these people, and then obviously good for the practitioners who can make more money.
Very cool. And so is this for in-person meetups, for remote meetups? Like what is the...
It's all telehealth.
Meetups is a bad term for like appointments.
Yeah, it's all virtual right now.
Okay, gotcha. Are you guys... Because I actually, we were planning on doing a very similar thing with the personal training market. Didn't do it, but like, because there's been 100 find a personal trainer near you startups. Are you guys, like, is that what you guys are working towards? Like find a psychiatrist near you, find a therapist near you kind of concept?
There are a lot of directories as well, like you were saying, like find somebody near you.
Yeah.
So that's less of the problem.
Like the thumbtacks kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing is that there are services that already do that. but they don't solve the availability problem for the most part. In other words, if you're a patient and you're like, okay, I want to find a therapist near me, you might find maybe a list of 50 in your city, but you can't schedule time with any of them immediately. And so what you have to do is you have to call them and say, do you have availability? And on the off chance that they pick up, from personal experience, it's about maybe 1 or 2 in 10 will actually pick up. Those people either have a very long wait list, or don't take your insurance, or don't have availability at a time that works for you. And because you've wasted a lot of time searching, by the time you find somebody, either, especially if you already have mental health issues, you might have gotten burned out from that, or by the time you find somebody with availability, they might not actually be a match for you in other ways. And so the shortage isn't just a numbers shortage, it's actually like a matching problem as well.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Are you guys, besides like, here's your telehealth, like psychiatrist or therapist, are you guys doing other things too, like, like blogs or like some sort of tool or something like that? Like what else do you guys bring to the table besides like the matching concept?
Yeah.
And if you don't, we can just cut that.
No. Happy to take a stab at that.
Yeah.
The way we think about this is that the more you can empower the practitioner, the fewer barriers there are for that person to provide the care that they need to provide, whether that's like directly with the patient or whether that's in all the administrative tasks that they're doing, the more you can unlock the time that they have.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so part of it is like an optimization problem, and part of it is an efficiency problem. And so, yeah, we're thinking really deeply about the products and pieces that we can build for the practitioner, around the practitioner. One of the things being scheduling, intake, etc., to make it such that that process of seeing the patient is more streamlined.
So you're more focused on like the actual, like the process of literally getting a booking and making sure that the availability is correct, versus like you get 3 appointments and you got like a cherry blossom star or something like that. Like you're not trying to go for like a gamification. You're trying to like literally just focus on like booking and all that.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
I don't know what a cherry blossom star is, by the way. I was trying to just like think of like an award you'd get, and I was like, that's not a thing. Those are 2 things.
At the end of the day, and I would love if Danny wants to jump in and talk more about the product, but at the end of the day, we see ourselves as like a supply side company, and we're trying to solve the problems of the supply, which is why originally when we were presenting kind of what Legion Health is we talked about it as a network of practitioners versus like a telehealth company.
Yeah, for sure.
So the important part is that we want to solve the problems around the practitioner, and then that'll solve the problems for the patients.
Okay, very cool. And when you guys first got started, what was the process like? Because I started off as a marketplace, but for fitness programs. That was my original B2C. And I just like DM'd a shit ton of trainers on Instagram and LinkedIn, and like that's all. I didn't know what else to do. I was just like, I guess I'll reach out to all these people. Like, what did you guys do to start? Like, were you just calling like colleges? Like, what were you guys doing to get a hold of these people?
Actually, I think Arthur has a great story here about cold calling therapists and psychiatric nurse practitioners.
Yeah, so we talked to enough experts by the time that we had confidence in this idea. And quick, side note there, the way that we did that was mainly by emailing the alumni from like school and companies that we had been to.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so we had heard that there was a problem around the lack of supply for them.
Like while they were in college, or just in general in life, like. Yeah.
So the people that we talked to were executives of various healthcare companies, and they were saying, like, we can't find enough mental health clinicians. We're always short-staffed. It's really hard to hire them in the right amounts or on the right timeline. And so that's where we're like, that's weird. So, like, it makes sense that they would have problems, but why is it so like fine-grained? Like, why don't you just like pay them more or something like that? Yeah. Anyway, we knew that if there was a way we could provide clinician availability to them, they already had patient demand waiting to be like fulfilled. They already had patients who were on wait lists, like we were saying earlier, like they couldn't find a therapist or they couldn't find a practitioner. And so our next step was see, like, well, do these clinicians have a corresponding problem, and can we get in front of them? And the way that we did it was genuinely we just looked up like clinician databases in various states, and we just cold called them. Funny enough, the second person that we met through that process is still with us today.
Nice. Very cool.
Like, has stuck with us through all the bullshit that we like didn't know when we were first starting out, and like is actually like a very high earning clinician with us.
Nice. Brex is the all-in-one financial toolkit for every scaling business. With products built for scrappy startups, expanding mid-market companies, and large international enterprises, Brex has a suite of financial products that caters to the uniqueness of your business. If you're a founder or overseeing spend in a large organization, Brex keeps your team spending within policy, on budget, and housed in a single dashboard, saving you time, money, and stress. With everything from free interest-yielding bank accounts and corporate cards to expense management and budgeting, and so much more. Brex is your go-to all-in-one financial platform for scaling your business. Wait, how many years ago did you guys have this idea?
What is it, like
Year and a
18
half.
months now? Like right before we quit our jobs, we like kind of came to this being a good way to enter the market, and then we quit our jobs, applied to Y Combinator, moved to Dallas together in Yash's mom's house.
There you go. Hey, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah.
What were you guys doing for work before you guys, were you guys all working the same job or you just knew each other?
Yeah, we actually all worked at the circus together.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
gonna say, did you
We were practicing being clowns.
Well, what did you actually do though?
So I worked at McKinsey.
Okay.
I went, after studying architecture at Princeton, I decided not to do architecture at all.
Nice. Okay.
I was like, dude, this is...
Did you get a scholarship to Princeton, or are you still paying that loan back?
I actually did get a scholarship.
Oh, nice. Okay. I was gonna say, I was
very,
like,
very lucky, yeah.
I was like, you're the clown.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome, man. Okay.
Yeah, so
very cool.
I took a business class, multiple business classes, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than architecture. But it's already senior year, so whatever.
Nice.
And so left, ended up getting a job at McKinsey, got to do consulting and specifically on like the sales and go-to-market strategy part for 2 years. And then at the same time, Danny was at, drumroll please.
Oh, is that the handoff?
Yeah, exactly.
I was working for Microsoft as a product manager on the Office platform team, kind of primarily focused on this small, obscure app called Excel. Some people might have heard of it.
I want to ask you a question, actually.
Yeah.
What Google
It's
Sheets?
about printer drivers killing me.
No, Google Sheets is literally Excel, and it's a different company. How did they not get like sued out of like oblivion?
There weren't patents on spreadsheet equivalents.
It's the same colors and everything. Like I it took me like years, and then I was like, wait, this isn't owned by Microsoft. This is owned by Google. I was like, why isn't this like?
Yeah, I'm gonna tread carefully here to make sure I don't accidentally stumble into like some confidential stuff or something.
Oh no, you're
like
good.
that.
You're good.
But,
Yeah.
One is probably that it's not like a patentable component of software that they were actually able to defend. The other is, I don't know that they really felt the need to bother. I think something that's pretty unknown for a lot of people is that if you ask somebody, like if I were to ask you right now, what is the number one competitor to Microsoft Excel, what would you say?
I mean, Google Sheets, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
The number one competitor to Microsoft Excel is older versions of Microsoft Excel.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
They have a stupidly complete monopoly on the market in terms of like actually where the money is made, which is selling to businesses.
Yeah.
And they are dang good at it. And one of the things that I think really Google shoots itself on the foot on is they just axe so many products left and right that you never really know how long a thing is going to be around. And so as a business, it's sort of hard to make a commitment to, hey, all of my important financial data and accounting is going to go into this platform. Oh, psych, it's gone. Google killed it. Yeah, maybe I'm going to stick with these Microsoft guys because they have an explicit, if it exists right now, it's got 10 years before you'll even hear about it going away. And then 1 year of, hey guys, it's going away, but still updating. 1 more year of security updates and patches. 1 year of it's not being touched, but FYI, it's going away.
Okay, so you
Which
worked
makes your job
Microsoft
super
lot.
easy as a product
A
manager,
lot.
right?
Well, on the other hand, then you're pushing back against like, we got like 10 years. Why do we really need to make this change? We have a monopoly. Why do we really need to make this change? What's it going to gain us? So anyway.
Gotcha. Okay, so you worked at Microsoft, and then.
Well, I'm actually the reason he got that job. I should probably tell that story too.
I think you can. I'm not embarrassed by it.
I will tell that story because maybe the audience here will Well,
Let me set up the context then. So, at Princeton, I majored in operations
Wait,
research.
so you all three went to Princeton?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
we,
okay.
and we were roommates too.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
we also slept in the same bed.
And they were roommates. Isn't that a TikTok?
We showered together too.
Is that not a TikTok? It's like, and they were roommates. What is that? Okay, I'll figure it out. If it is a TikTok, I'll put it in this clip. Sorry.
And they were roommates.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
Continue. What were
Thank
you
you.
saying? Some
Right here?
Showering together.
Don't people do that?
Exactly. Put it right there.
I was studying something called operations research and financial engineering. It's usually systems engineering at another university, maybe with like a finance minor.
Gotcha.
And long-term dream for most people in that major is kind of like, oh yeah, I'm a hedge fund baby. I'm gonna go like work there, do investments, kind of trade stocks, or be in investment banking, something like that. One of the things that I've also always loved though is building and making things. And in finance, that is basically risk. You want to build and introduce something new. You're stirring the pot, changing the game, and you're introducing risk. And the name of the game in finance is mitigate risk.
Yeah.
And despite all of that, I had a standing offer from a bank called BNP Paribas, really successful in a number of industries. I was going to go end up working on the collateralized loan obligations desk. It's similar to CMO's, Big Short, and all that. Didn't love it, but I also felt like that would be a path into the finance space. Maybe I would find something there that I'd eventually love. I didn't really feel all that motivated to search for something else. So around this time, I was just kind of feeling a little bit lost, feeling like I didn't want to put any effort into more interviews, but also that I wasn't excited about the exit I was about to make from Princeton. And so it's sort of a weird period for me. And that led me to kind of like a little bit before an interview, sitting at my desk in my boxers, watching YouTube videos.
No, this is the time. This is when I take.
All right,
over,
yeah.
right? So the three of us are roommates, right? And Danny, great lead in here. Long story short, I walk in one day, at 4 p.m. back from class, and I'm like, Danny, as Danny does, he's sitting in his boxers watching YouTube. And I'm like, wait, dude, like, didn't you tell me that you had a Microsoft interview today, like, for a PM job? Like, how did that go? And he's like, oh, yeah, it's in 7 minutes. I'm like, wait, what the fuck, man? Like, you just said that you weren't that happy with the return offer you got. You wanted to kind of explore this one further, like, what's up? And he's like, oh, I don't really know if it's the right thing. Microsoft's, like, big, stodgy company, and I don't know if I want to do PM work, blah, blah, blah. Basically, I was like, dude, like, get your fucking ass up.
And work.
Danny, and go wear some clothes and go over to career services where the interview was. And he's like, oh, no. And then, like, finally did. My understanding is that you showed up, like, 10 minutes late to the interview?
Yeah, so it wasn't specifically PM work, by the way. It was ambiguous, like, some kind of tech and product and software engineering related job. And what I especially knew for sure that I didn't want to do was software engineering.
Right.
Because it's never been about programming or coding for me that I've been interested in. It's part of why, like, I didn't pick up the CTO title, though sometimes for practical reasons I end up wearing it. I've never been interested in that. I've been interested in building things. In the past, that's been necessary because as a 14-year-old, 12-year-old, whatever, you can't hire anybody. Good luck. If you want to build it, go figure it out yourself. So it's a means to an end. And what I saw at this is like, oh, the end is like, hey, you get to go be a software engineer and maybe build something. It's like, is that ambiguity even worth it? So I walked in 10 minutes late. I was like, oh, are you Daniel Wilson? Like, are you here for this thing? I was like, yeah, I guess. And he's like, yes? Oh, okay. So we went through the whole thing, and I think hopefully he didn't take this personally or whatever. Clearly, I guess I made a good impression because I made it through the screening. But yeah, the air that I think I carried through that, and then the later onsite was sort of like, not sure I want this. But
If you're 10 minutes late, I can't believe they still hired you. So,
I think that's
very, very talented.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just like.
I think that led to me being way more genuine and like open about like, yeah, I don't know this. What are you gonna do about it? Which actually was perhaps a more correct answer because one of the other things too is like, I've learned so much in spite of myself through that role. One of the many things is like, your job as a product manager is to not necessarily have all the answers and to be very aware of when you don't, and to then be able to go get it.
Go get it, bro. Just like we're in the gym, you know.
So it ended up working out well, and that's the job that I took. And I was like, all right, Yash, thank you for making me move. This is a heck of a comp package, and it sounds way more fun, interesting, and creative.
There you go.
And the one detail that Danny's left out that I'm going to like tell Corey's entire audience is Danny promised me that he would take me to a music festival.
I will stand by that.
And so we're going to Tomorrowland next year.
Wait, how long ago did you get the Microsoft job?
This was right out of college, so it would have been starting 2018.
You've been waiting 4 years for this concert?
You can cut all of this, all right? But this is the key part here.
Okay, just wanted to remind me in case I forgot.
No,
He's got it on video now.
The fact that Danny went to Microsoft has been such a boon for our company because I think the thing that Arthur has immense knowledge and background in the strategy and go to market, sales, marketing, that kind of thing. I have some of the healthcare contacts. I'll talk about that in a second, but I think you understand this being a startup founder, like the problem and the process of building product is like incredibly fucking difficult.
Yeah, I love product though, so it doesn't
Right?
bother me.
I
love it so much.
It's super fun, and like Arthur and I jump in and enjoy it as well, but like it is not easy.
Oh, it's
and you have to
exhausting.
manage like multiple different stakeholders
Yeah.
and a vision, and you have and the fact that Danny has technical expertise as well
That really helps too.
allows for him to build credibility with our engineers in a way that like is kind of intangibly really important.
Yeah.
And so like Danny's expertise and having gone to Microsoft has been a really, really strong suit for the three of us and the team.
And since you did that all those years ago, kind of partial credit, right?
That's what I'm
Company
saying.
building, like
You're scheming for this the whole
Yeah,
time.
you're like go to Microsoft, so then I can bring you into this fold, and then
Also,
No.
we were like, so Yash will tell a story in a second about like what the job that he took out of college. But like Yash was one of like, I don't know, 2 people on the Princeton campus who were like super into healthcare. That like hasn't changed at all.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
Danny and I were like, why do you care so much about like this particular like course of study, man? And it's just like one track.
So you like love? I mean, I don't know anything about healthcare, so I'm like the worst person to ask you any questions about this. Like, it just seems so disorganized for no reason. What do you
I mean,
like about
fitness and
healthcare?
nutrition are like part of it.
Oh, I know. I mean, I know what
Anyway.
health means, but like, I'm just like,
Yeah. So
Just like-
Congrats, you're in healthcare.
congrats, welcome.
kind of. Anyway, so my background after graduating, I went to this government agency called the Congressional Budget Office. Sounds kind of stodgy, but basically it's the agency that's a part of Congress, and we're like a nonpartisan arm of Congress. Basically, anytime a senator or representative in the House proposes a bill and that goes to committee, they send that bill to our agency to determine what the economic impact and the impact on the federal budget is going to be of that specific policy.
Gotcha.
And so basically you have this like, really complicated, crazy bill like the Affordable Care Act that comes to us and comes on our desk, and we have to somehow make sense of this and how it's going to affect taxpayers.
Gotcha.
And so I work specifically on their healthcare team, obviously, not at the time of the Affordable Care Act, but at that time we were contemplating a whole bunch of things around, changing insurance markets,
Prescription
single
drug
payer,
prices.
prescription drugs,
Yeah.
long-term care, all these sort of really interesting topics. And so me being like the super healthcare nerd from college, and that's specifically around like health economics and health policy, like that was like a really cool place where I could kind of see U.S. healthcare from like a macro perspective.
Very cool.
But then doing business in healthcare is like a completely fucking different thing.
Yeah.
And you oftentimes feel a lot of the macro pieces in healthcare directly like affecting your business, and you have to kind of play within the ecosystem that's been sort of created.
Yeah, what do you guys have to do? Like, are you guys like very much HIPAA compliant and all that stuff, or do you have to be like? Because you're not dealing with
Kill me now.
Well, you're not dealing with the medical records of these clients, or are you? Like, do you also have like a not a CRM, but like some sort of like client, like a CRM, like some sort of system to manage the client's files and paperwork and everything like that?
Yeah, I think the first question to ask is actually, do we have to manage the patient data?
Yeah.
And the answer to your earlier question about like, are we HIPAA compliant and everything? Yes.
Okay.
But to make that actually achievable, one of the things that we've been very careful with is what parts of the patient journey do we actually have to touch? Because again, we're really trying to solve problems for the clinician. Because the clinician is at the center of all of this.
So you're kind of like, if we don't have to do it, we don't want to okay, that checks out.
Like a lot of the problem that we've kind of focused on is, and I'm going to try to stop myself from going off on a giant tangent here. A lot of the problem has centered around the supply side issues of, hey, I have a bunch of patients who need help and I can't find any clinicians to serve them. And I think Arthur mentioned this, like when we're doing that initial digging and trying to figure out, okay, well, we've heard so many problems with trying to find clinicians, like can we go see what's involved there, see what clinicians think? Basically every single one told us, yeah, I don't quite have as many patients as I'd like to be seeing. I would like to help a couple more, or I don't have any. How is it that there can be a group of people, hundreds of thousands large, the clinicians, and millions upon millions of patients who just need their help? Both of them want to see the other and they can't connect. And so we think we can solve it from the clinician side. That's where I'll end my tangent unless we start digging more there later.
No, you're good. Yeah.
But that doesn't require the patient component, so we believe at the moment.
Yeah, it hasn't yet.
It hasn't yet. And part of why that's my nightmare is it adds so many orders of magnitude of complexity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can speak. You guys have the booking, and we're actually launching booking in like Q1, Q2. So I'm currently designing. We should talk actually. I have all my calendars built out, and like you can book this space at the gym, and you can't do this. So I'm in that same space. So I'm doing it the opposite way, where you guys are starting with that, and I'm finishing with that. And so I know like how complex it can get the moment you add like another feature to the calendar, or you're like, here's the availability and all that kind of stuff. But so you guys,
well, Corey, actually, let me ask you a question really quick.
Yeah.
Like, you go to the doctor, you sought mental health services. Have you ever been able to just like easily schedule with them?
Oh, I don't think so. And same thing with the training space. I was like, why can't I just go and find a trainer like today? You know? So
and
I mean, same thing with that. Yeah.
Kind of, along the lines of what Danny's saying is that we believe that in the future, the consumers of healthcare, patients, are going to be more tech savvy, and they're going to demand a better experience from a user interface and from a tech standpoint. And so, we're just kind of like building those things from the clinician end.
Same thing as what Yash is saying on the clinician side, right? A lot of clinicians are still using pen and paper.
Exactly. Yeah, we're like the same exact field. I swear, it's like the same. Yeah.
A lot of the problems that I'm sure you've experienced with people having various levels of awareness and adoption of technology, and then various levels of awareness of their own inefficiencies and desire to solve that.
Yeah,
it's very similar in the mental health space. And the thing is that there's such a shortage that finding a way to give them a tech-forward experience that actually reduces the amount of time they spend wasting on basically management and admin and increases the amount of time that they can put back towards the care of patients. Yeah, it's a process problem. Yeah, it's a tech problem. It's also like a long-term trend that we see in the space and that we're hoping to accelerate.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm just trying to think. I mean, I feel like so eventually, like kind of like Danny was saying, I feel like you guys will end up having like some sort of like, and here's all your notes from the meeting or something like that. Like, do you see yourself designing one of those features?
Yeah, I think that's definitely within the realm of possibility, and I think we've tried to be pretty rigorous about making sure, okay, is this the thing that we need to build?
Yeah, which is the hardest part of running a startup.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. I'm the worst. I build.
What's your strategy? How do you choose?
Oh, dude, before it was terrible, and now it's more like, because we have a new partner now, so now I'm like, if this partner doesn't need this, then like, I don't care what some trainer in France is asking us. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's fucking, who cares? We'll do this later.
Have you told your audience the partner, or is that like secret?
Oh no, it's Daxco. No one knows who that is. They're like an umbrella company that owns 7 gym softwares that work with gyms. So it's not like
Didn't you say when we were in the gym lifting together? Didn't you mention another partnership you had coming up, or is that?
That was the partnership. It's been like a
Okay.
long time coming. Yeah.
Oh,
So
sweet.
so we're
Congrats, man.
we out here.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
man. We out
so
here.
You, so you, basically, if they say they need it, you build it, and if not, you don't build it, or is it like more complex? than
I'd say
that?
like 80%. Because like they're gonna in the next 2 years they're gonna be like 95% of our revenue, if not 99% of our revenue. So it's like
Wow.
it's like because they're just gonna be handing us gyms. So it's like why would I build something for one coach that might pay us $5 to $25 a month when they're gonna be giving me like an LA Fitness and a Crunch Fitness, you know? Even though I'm still high key like still making those features on the side though for those
because you care about it. Yeah,
it's like
interesting.
addicting,
Yeah.
bro. I can't stop.
Well,
it.
it's probably the features overlap, right? So
No, I mean, true, but to an extent. I mean, like, how are you? I was actually going to ask you a design question. So, like, do you find that you can design every day? You just love doing it, or do you have to be like in a mental zone to sit down and like make a UX UI design?
I actually don't know how to answer that because I feel like I do design in my head every day. A ton of stuff I don't need.
What are you designing right
And,
now?
Just like actually personal trainer scheduling software.
Nice.
Like I'm still kind of
what's
fixated
up,
on
bro?
the topic from like 5 minutes ago. But yeah, like I'll design a bunch of garbage that like I don't think at the end of the day ends up being worth putting down on paper. And then when it's needed, just put it down because it's already there.
Yeah.
And up until then, just sit on it. And I think that can sometimes be hard because it ends up actually acting a lot like noise sometimes.
Yeah.
And it stands in the way of like letting me see the thing that I didn't have one for. So I try to be pretty wary of that, but I never really have a problem with like, oh, okay, this is the thing that's needed, here we go. On the other hand, we do have a full-time designer, and that has been a godsend.
The same here. So I give him the stuff, and then he makes it look way better than whatever I did.
oh really? So you actually do the first?
I do like
pass.
I do like the good wireframes, and then I just like make this fucking so that people can use it basically. So yeah.
Wow.
So
There's been multiple occasions. Our guy is Victor. He's like this awesome Ukrainian dude.
my Ukrainian guy, Nick.
What?
And it's not his real name. It's like Mikolesh or something. I'm sorry, Nick, if you're watching this. I don't. It's like M-Y-K. I don't know. It's something Mikola or something. I don't know. Yeah.
This guy is so fast that Danny will typically have been thinking about something for a little bit, and we might have discussed it a few times as a group, but then we kind of like, oh, whatever. Like, we'll see if a customer mentions that or if a clinician mentions that. And then somebody will at some point, and we'll be like, you know what? Like, this seems like a +1 to that idea. Like, Danny, what do you think? And I'll be like, oh, this? Because in the background that entire time, he's like, hey, Victor, try something on this. And then Victor will have gone and researched like 5 like mock examples from other companies that are kind of the same-ish, and then like melded them together in this hybrid. And then Danny will be like, this thing? And it's like, wow, like, yeah, exactly. Can we do that?
Dude, I love the +1 thing. It took me like 6 freaking years. I had my other startup failed pretty much to start doing a +1. I literally have a Notion doc of whenever someone asks for anything, I put it and then I tally and I rank everything. Because I used to be like, I feel like about 4 people have asked for that, and then I just would have no actual tangible answer. So, anyways, one question I have, I guess for all 3 of you, but maybe this is for you, maybe for you, I don't know. How are you guys? It's like you have the chicken and the egg situation with like same with Uber. Like you got to get the riders and the drivers and passengers. You say that like the clinicians are the ones. Is clinicians the right word? Am I using that right? Okay.
Yeah.
You're saying that the clinicians are the ones that are like, I would love this, like, let's go. But like obviously you still have to get them on the platform, signed up, teach them how to do it. But then you're also saying that people around the world are like, I really want a clinician, blah, blah, blah. But the same thing, you still have to get them to sign up, blah, blah, blah. So like, which side are you guys seeing so far that's the hardest to get to actually sign up for the platform and start actually like, you know, do onboarding and book and all that kind of stuff?
I think Arthur's best suited to answer that.
Yeah, it's a good question. So it turns out to be pretty market specific because of the like regulations. So you have to have patients, and in our case at the moment, most of our patients come through another like provider.
Gotcha.
In healthcare, provider sort of like a general sense. It means like an entity that is providing care. And so in some cases that might be a telehealth company or a facility or something like that, and they're the ones with a patient backlog, the people who can't find clinicians. And they're the ones that in the past or to date we've signed contracts with.
Very cool.
So would patients or clinicians be easier or harder? TBD.
Gotcha.
But those contracts, because it's more of a B2B motion, they each have their own like stakeholders and the things that they care about. So I'd say it's like they bundle up more problems into one.
So are you saying that like someone watching this couldn't sign up for Legion Health and then find a clinician, or they can do that?
Not at the moment. No,
Okay.
It's not like Psychology Today where we list the
Gotcha.
clinicians open to the public and like advertise on their behalf or anything like that.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So this is for already like sanctioned. Here's this person. Now connect to each other. Like
At the
kind of
moment,
thing.
but what
Yeah.
Yash was saying at the beginning about like the private practice piece is
Mm-hmm.
that most of our clinicians already have their own like mini business, right? It's
Yeah.
mini compared to the contracts that we sign, but it can be quite large in terms of the revenue or the number of patients they're able to see. And they have a video platform through us, but they have a bunch of other things that they use to get and acquire patients, and they can use the same things that we've built to connect them to our B2B partners to see patients for their private practice. So technically, if you found them through Psychology Today and booked with them, you might be using Legion.
You just don't know it. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Does that make
Gotcha.
sense?
Did you guys do like a Zoom API, or did you guys build your own video software?
We use a platform called Daily.
Oh, I was gonna use that too.
Yeah.
I've had that on my to-do list for like a year. We never added video, but like, how do you like it actually? This is a great. It's
pretty good.
Weird. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it's solid. It
Yeah.
does the job. I think the complexity that comes into play here is a lot of clinicians are using Zoom. Some customer platforms are using their own homebrew thing. And a lot of the core problem that we're solving at the end of the day is kind of the disconnect between who's using what and what really should be a blocker. What do I
Okay.
mean by that? I think the divisions that make healthcare so complex, complexity you mentioned earlier, really have a lot to do with how, one, giant a market it is, and then two, how divided it has to be to actually function. The most visible divisions are the ones that a lot of people are kind of familiar with, it, just like state licensure. A doctor in Florida, with some caveats, can't really go see somebody in like West Virginia. Even though there's telemedicine and you could just call them on Zoom. What's up with that?
Yeah.
That's a thing that's being discussed in the legislative branch right now. But what I think we realized and put together is that the divisions are actually far more blocking and significant, granular, than a lot of people realize. Divisions can be as simple as, at the heart of everything, we also believe is availability. So if you're a telemedicine company, you have started it because you decided, hey, there's some novel patient experience that people are not getting as patients, and I want to go support this. I want to support, pick your
Create a new
like,
vision for
thing
the world.
here.
Yeah, with the care
Yeah,
model. Yeah.
something that patients aren't able to get elsewhere. Now you have to go out and hire clinicians to support it. And so the easiest way to do it is to say, okay, I need clinicians who are going to cover every single day of the week, 24/7. Well, that's expensive. Are you going to get people who like stay up at night? How are you going to find somebody who does that every
Like a
night?
3 a.m. clinician. Yeah.
And one of the things we found as well is that there are so many clinicians, either through a function of private practice, through another side gig, through a still current main job, they don't have a full work week open. They don't want to switch jobs. They like their existing one or many or combination of private practice job. But they have a free day or two or even 4. All of those clinicians are therefore off the table for that reason, because they have slightly wrong license type, because they're in the wrong state, whatever. And there's this immense fatigue that I think a lot of companies, and especially patients, go through after Arthur mentioned a list of 50. You have a mental health condition, and you're really, really struggling. Are you going to make it through that list of 50? What if the 51st was the one that actually would have been able to see you even right away?
Yeah.
That is hard. And so your original question was kind of about like the video chat platform stuff. That's another thing that creates a silo. If a clinician has and uses Zoom and is HIPAA compliant, they can work with a platform that does. Patients that are willing to use Zoom, that's the safest because a lot of patients and users kind of understand it. Daily, easiest path for us to HIPAA compliance. It's really easy to integrate, highly recommend. It's cheap. They have a great deal for a lot of startups. but do patients all know how to use Daily? Do our customers already use it, and can it connect to their platform, the one that their patients are coming through?
Yeah.
These are the things that kind of keep me up at night.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
heck of a lot of complexity.
Good to know, man. Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I could keep going down that hole, but I'm going to switch over to the Y Combinator side of things because I
Sure.
can ask you questions about that. We'll do that another time. Which one of you filled out the Y Combinator application, or did you do it collectively?
It was
Primarily, yeah.
The
No, it was
instructions
all
on the
almost-
the instructions on the YC like website are like, look, this is about like a 3-hour process. Like, don't overthink this. Just like write your answers and submit it, and we'll, if you have a good idea, if you have a good background, we'll interview you. Right? I think the collective time that we spent was probably closer to like 100, maybe 150 hours, because it was like, you know, whatever time we actually spent synchronously, but times 3 of us, right? So I think they intended it to be a small process, but we were like, you know, I think we try to go to the extreme in everything that we do. So we were like, all right, we can have the perfect answers. And I mean, arguably, given that we got in our first time, which is very, very serendipitous, it's like, honestly, we feel very blessed by that. You know, I think it was the right thing to do to like spend a bit of extra time on it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, a Y Combinator can get you so many things, and we'll get to that in a second. But how was the experience of the program? Like, where actually, can you just walk through what was it during COVID or post COVID?
During COVID,
well, I guess
yeah.
we're not technically post COVID, but whatever. So it was all remote then that you guys did? Okay, gotcha. So what was like a day-to-day like for you guys through the program? Was it like you're doing a bunch of Zoom calls each day, or what was it?
Wake up, quietly leave for WeWork so we don't disturb Yash's mom.
I forgot you guys were in Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we're roommates again, right? In
Yeah.
Yash's house. Like, thank you very much. And we would typically have like 1 or 2 sessions a week, and then like there was a big talk with like the founders of Airbnb or the founders of Stripe or all these other like insane unicorns.
Yeah.
Or like deca unicorns, right? And any time that we weren't spent in video calls, where in person you might be walking around and saying hi to other people, it was all like maybe scheduled reach outs with other folks from the batch, or just like us hustling on the company. So we probably got to focus a bit more. We didn't have to like rent an apartment in San Francisco for 3 months or any of the other like logistical complexity. But yeah, it was like much more solo.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think there's definitely pros and cons for that for sure. The pro being you didn't lose $100,000 renting for 3 months in San Francisco. The con
That's
being
right.
like you didn't get to meet those people in person, which
Yeah.
you did, of course. Now I saw you guys with
Michael.
Michael. Yeah, I saw
yeah.
the story.
Yeah.
I see the guy on YouTube all the time, so I'm like, I don't know
Michael
the guys.
Seibel's he's a legend.
These are our
Um,
favorite people.
Yeah,
He
great.
seems like a cool
He's
guy
so
too.
cool.
So
He was
how-
our batch partner, so he was like the
Oh, gotcha.
person that was yelling at us every week.
Nice. There you go.
He still
Nice.
yells at us.
Yeah, literally.
sometimes.
If it's been too long without some negative reinforcement, we like just call him up and, you know,
It's like
straight.
you're about to bench. You're like, hey, can you talk shit to me really quick? Like, I gotta hit a PR. Very, very cool.
He would do it. And then
Speaking
never
of,
pick up the phone again for us.
wait, so you guys are co-founders, went to college together, roommates with Yash's mom, also roommates, and you guys also lift weights together too. So like,
course, yeah.
how often do you guys? How much time do you guys spend together each day? You think?
Slightly less. I got married 2 months ago, so I have my own house now.
That's right. Nice.
Yeah.
Wait, were you guys living together before that?
Yeah, actually, even
Oh,
for a month
damn.
while I was married.
Nice. How is it with Arthur not being in the house anymore?
It sucks. It's the worst.
Oh, sorry guys.
We still try to live together, and obviously we spend every day and we work together. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's sad.
Wait, so back to Y Combinator. What how did you guys demo day go? Because I know it's like it was very much like a just virtual demo day. So like, did you guys raise and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I think in a weird way that was like one of the biggest boons for having like a virtual.
Because anyone can watch.
Exactly.
It's like
So-
it's like a stonks, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, literally, yeah. And the audience for our company and all the other companies in the batch was much larger than it might have been if the investors had to come to San Francisco.
Oh, way larger. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
previously the way that people were doing it before the pandemic is that they would actually you'd be in San Francisco and you'd have to drive to the investors office and pitch
Yeah.
them. And so
Wait. So you would drive to where would you go? What would you do?
So
I
we
think
didn't
the
we didn't
West
have we didn't have to do that here, but like
in the past, yeah.
in the past, like you would have to drive to the investor's office. Say, like you were pitching Sequoia, right? Sequoia has a San Francisco office. You would meet the partner or whoever you're pitching to, and you would go there and pitch them in person.
Oh, so there wasn't like a singular demo day. You would like go to.
So there was so the demo day is like So yeah, let me back up a little bit. Demo day is a single day where you do a 1-minute pitch, and then all of the investors that are watching will see you, and they indicate if they want to talk to you more or.
Then you got to go like to a drive.
And then you have to have like
damn.
actual calls with these folks.
Gotcha.
We were really lucky because a lot of investors reached out to us before demo day because they're all these fucking investors are trying to get the jump on everybody else, and so they were trying to figure out, okay, which of the companies here might be really great. Let's talk to them beforehand. This is not us. This is not me bragging. I'm just saying that they try to talk to as many companies beforehand as possible, and then a lot of investors come after demo day as well. And so, going back to what I was saying earlier, because it was all remote, we were just having like a ton of Zoom calls, and so you can stack and have back-to-back Zoom calls and basically get through more calls, and so yeah, we raised our initial our seed round then, and that was all great.
How long did it take to close the seed from all those like back-to-back Zooms?
Not long.
3 weeks, right?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
That's solid.
So we raised about $2 million then,
Nice.
and then we've recently raised about $1.5 million more. So all
Very
with
cool.
the same terms. So all of it's the seed round, and actually it's been kind of rolling. So it's all the same. But yeah, so we're well capitalized, and
How far does your run rate take you guys?
3 years.
yeah.
I was gonna say, it better be more than a year. I was like, it's a lot of cash.
Well, that's part of the reason that we raised just a little bit more, because Michael Seibel was like, "Hey, you fuckers need to raise more." He told everybody that. He's like, "We don't know how we don't know what the macro conditions will look like, but at least what we're seeing is that venture capitalists are spooked, right? So if they're spooked, then they might not deploy early stage. They might not even deploy late stage. I mean, look at what's happening to Tiger." So anyway, their recommendation actually was really timely because they told us, "Hey, go raise a little bit more right now," and then we did, and then things started falling. And so
nice.
it's actually really helpful.
Very cool. We get that bag, yeah.
I want to underscore though, how shocking and concerning Michael Seibel saying, "Hey, raise more" is, because this is a guy who has for a long time, I think, held the thesis that startup valuations are a little crazy, and everyone's over raising. They're getting these massive seed rounds of like $4, $5, $7 million for a seed, and his belief is they're going to go out and spend it, create this gigantic burn rate that they don't need, and it's actually going to be the very thing that stands in the way of them finding the correct product, the correct fit.
Yeah.
And he's held that for a long time, been very anti, don't raise too much, don't over raise, don't do that. And so that's one of the things that kind of led us to the amount that we stopped at the first time around.
Yeah.
And when he, in office hours, said to us, "Yeah, you need to raise more." Sorry, what?
Yeah.
He also tells some great stories where he's like, yeah, the founders of Coinbase, those guys had such trouble raising. They only raised $500K after demo day. Look at them now. And so he's of the mindset that if you have great founders and a solid product in the right market, that you'll get there regardless. And fuck investors.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
If any of my investors are watching, we love you guys, but
and mine.
that is Michael Seibel's view, not mine.
that was a direct quote. It was a direct quote. So fundraising's got. So how long did it take to raise that additional 1.5?
About a couple months.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's kind of hard to be like, all right, we have $2 million in the bank. Let's go raise another 1.5. You're kind of probably less motivated. You're like, we want it, but sitting pretty over here. Where does your funding go towards? Besides Danny's salary, what are you guys paying for each month?
Yeah, so we, I was going to make a joke and say that we were throwing crazy parties you guys do. But
I don't throw any parties. My parties are all paid for by sponsors.
That's also that's an AWS credit card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Platinum.
I make money on the parties I host. We strive to no
that's
budget.
Like Elon, dude.
The Elon?
Yeah, he used to make money on parties in college, right?
He did.
Yeah, he would charge a $5 entrance fee.
That's what I should have done. Yeah, I'm 8 years behind him, but I'll get there though. I'll catch up. Don't worry.
To the moon.
To the moon. Yeah.
It's all personnel. It's just all the people.
Personnel, small amount of software cost, 2 WeWork memberships.
There you go. Are you guys are you devs overseas too, or where's your main software team at?
Up until recently.
Okay.
Yeah. Danny, tell us those great stories.
Yeah. So when we got started, one of the things that we knew pretty quickly out of the gate is that this is a hard problem space, and we needed tech help.
Yeah.
Part of it was I didn't really want to be the one wearing the CTO hat, as mentioned. The other was like, even if I did, there was just no way we were going to knock everything out. So quickly we knew we needed a software engineer, and in the midst of all the stuff during the batch, we decided to lean on the help of another Y Combinator company called UTeam. They're kind of an agency aggregator. There was something sort of fitting in a way of like, we're supplying clinicians to a number of different companies and platforms. Like, hey, maybe our temporary engineer can be supplied this way. And one of the things that we quickly found is this engineer, whose name is Yevon, was incredibly fast, really hacky, able to kind of go back and forth with me a number of times without getting disheartened that like I'm nitpicking this thing or that thing or the way it's implemented, and getting really quickly to the thing that we needed to actually put in front of the customer. And he was based out of Ukraine, remote engineer that whole time. I think that allowed us to kind of sit on just his help without having to hire like a full-time in-person software engineer for quite a while.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's happened early this year is that Ukraine was invaded by Russia.
Yeah.
And Yevon had been, I believe, on vacation with his family in Poland during that time, so he wasn't there, didn't have to deal with any of those concerns directly, but there was a big open question as to what he was actually going to go do next. Where in Europe would he go? What would he do? Who would he work for? And a kind of long shot thing that he asked us to just give a try if we were open to it was, hey, could we potentially get him an H-1B visa? The percentage on an H-1B, if you guys aren't familiar, is like roughly 15, maybe 20% of applicants get in every year. There's like a lottery as to whether or not you are allowed to even apply or petition for acceptance in a visa.
Yeah.
And a lot of that goes to higher education, master's students or above. So Yevon came in with a bachelor's in computer science and was looking for really more like a 5-10% chance of this being an option. But we talked about it, and like he absolutely would, in our minds, make a really, really good first in-person engineering hire. So we figured, hey, what's the harm in like spending? I think it's a couple $100 to actually just apply in the first place.
Yeah.
And he got in.
Nice.
So as of Saturday at 11 p.m., he's been here in person with us, and we're already feeling how much faster
He's here in
we move.
Austin.
He's staying in Arthur's old bedroom.
Hey.
Don't want to be abandoned.
Good stuff, dude. Yeah, my team's all in Western Ukraine. Thankfully, they're all safe and they're doing good in Chernobyl. But yeah, man, it's crazy. So I mean,
the amount of effort and the amount of effort Danny put into that, he's understating a bit. But he's amazing, and we're so lucky to have him. And then also like, I think we sort of like changed his life in a way. And so
for sure,
the three of us are. We're like
you can't quit.
No, we're in this position where
sure,
we're still boys and we're doing this thing, but this is serious. You
Yeah.
know, like we have people who are depending on us, and
that's also the thing about it being virtual, right? You're asking about, is it virtual versus in person?
Yeah.
The fact that we're building most of it from Austin, and we have some Texas clinicians, but a lot of them are distributed. It feels important, but at the same time, you don't always see the impact until you look at things like, oh wow, like 1,000 patients like interacted with our clinicians and received care this month. That's cool. Like it's up 50% from last month, and I don't even know what it is this month, but that was like the numbers from a couple months ago. Or like, we have an in-person software engineer who prior to this point we've never met. Like literally, we've only seen him on FaceTime basically, and he's been working with us. And now he's here, and the entire trajectory of his life has changed. It's like, whoa, like this stuff is actually really real. And
yeah, that's crazy.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Those are the moments that you like look back on really positively, I think.
Dude, it's speaking of the numbers you mentioned, like it's so hard for me to like run a SaaS company, and like, are you guys SaaS, or what do you call yourselves? Like marketplace?
It's a little different in healthcare. It's like tech-enabled services ish.
Yeah. Maybe you're not a SaaS here. I don't know why I said that. But when I look at numbers, I'm looking at the individual, like I'm like looking at their life. I'm like, what did they do today? Like, why are they using this? And it's like so hard for me to be like, we grew 14%. It's like, what does that mean? Like but also the negative way, when we lose a subscriber, that hurts. And I'll get an email and it's like, blank, cancel. You lost $35 MRR, and I'm like, fuck. like ruined my night.
Come
sometimes.
back.
Yeah, I'll be like, where'd you go? Yeah, no.
You actually email them, right? And you ask them.
I mean, we have a like it's all like automatic.
Automated, right,
Yes,
yeah.
we have follow up. But then sometimes when they cancel, like and they have like a full profile set up and they've added like 17 clients. I'm like, all right, why the fuck did this person cancel? This makes no sense. So I get very like
invested,
involved. Yeah, invested.
Yeah, that's what you should be, right? Because you care about these people and what specifically like matters to them. Do you ever just like text them?
I don't have their numbers, but I will. So like, if it's a specific person, I will email them like, hey, like you don't need to come back, but why did you leave? Like, I'm just curious. Like, I'll ask them like very wholeheartedly, and half the time they're just like, oh, I just I'm moving or I didn't have the time to do it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, come back though. Like, don't forget about it. So, but yeah,
I dislike you personally.
Yeah, they're like, fuck you, Corey. Do you guys feel like going back to the fundraising round? Do you guys feel that when you were raising as three co-founders that it was like a super big advantage? Because I feel like on the other side of things, people are like, you're a solo founder, and then like, okay, move on. Like, so that people always want to see co-founders. Did you feel like that was like a very important thing bringing to the table?
I think that Y Combinator really cares about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about our other investors. I'm sure they like do assess the team quite seriously, and I know a big part about seed funding rounds are the
Investing
team, right?
in the
It's
team,
like
yeah.
you're betting on these guys. Do you believe that these guys, whether or not their idea is great, if they're going to make it at the end?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say yes, but just to kind of give some color to that, YC strongly recommends a co-founder team, and so I think that's an area where we have been really solid because we've known each other for like what 8-9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Been best friends for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of have that relationship equity in place where like, no matter what the hell's going on in the business, we can kind of come back to each other on a personal level. So I would say, just to answer your question, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, if investors don't care, they probably should care more.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like, do you have co-founders and do the talents sort of overlap in a helpful way for the trajectory of your company, but also, do you have a relationship that's like a positive influence on the company or like a bedrock versus in some senses maybe a liability for some folks.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then how do you guys distribute the work equally? How do you distribute the work equally? Like, I don't mean like as in, we
you
just
do
take
this,
shifts.
you do that. Danny works from like,
Danny works
all
18
night.
hours and
Yeah,
we wake
exactly.
up. But like, because kind of like you just said, like, is it a liability? Like, there's always that case where, and thankfully this isn't the situation, but there could easily be a case where it's like you are working like 16-hour days sometimes, and then Arthur's fucking off and like doing this, doing that. This isn't the case. I'm just saying.
Wow.
But, like,
Did Yash send you a text before?
Yeah.
What the hell?
No.
he's like, make sure you bring this up. Yeah.
The thing
I
that-
think sorry, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the thing that makes it work, I think, is we're all some kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so like the real problem is more like, hey man, you need to sleep.
Yeah.
Rather than
yeah.
the other way around.
Yeah, we've had those conversations with like, all right, gym is mandatory for everybody, so we
Yeah.
like get the aggression and like
There you go.
the excess energy out.
Good stuff.
But to your point though, like how do you handle those little things that you're like, like something about this feels off and it's like awkward to bring up?
Yeah.
That's subtly like those things stack. And so early on at Y Combinator, they gave this really helpful like guideline. It was like, hey, Michael Seibel, I almost got kicked out of my roommate situation. Or did he? He actually did get kicked out, right?
Michael did.
Yeah, so he was like living with his co-founders and then was being a bad roommate, and they were like, hey, we don't want to live with you anymore. And that like came as a wake-up call. He's like, whoa, hold on, like I've been just focusing on execution mode of a business and keeping it purely business, but there's actually a personal aspect to this. How do you maintain that? They were like, well, you need to clear up any debt that you've like created between the three of you and or between the co-founding teams in general. We're like, wow, okay, that makes sense. And so since then we've stuck to a pattern of like a weekly, we call it relationship equity instead of relationship debt, because the idea would be like actually fill in the bank account for each person on like the trust and the motivation. And so it's like, did you have a problem with something? Okay, cool. You bring it up in the most candid way possible. You don't stop. You kind of, it's like an open forum meeting in like both in time and also in topic, and you handle it. And then at the end you kind of hopefully have eased the debts, and then you're able to say, wow, actually like we did a great job this week. You especially crushed it on X. You especially crushed it on Y. And it's like, it's probably been one of the best parts of like how we've stayed close. And we wanted to prioritize our friendship over our company. And that might sound weird, and except if you think about the opposite, which creates the problem of you can start backstabbing each other in order to rationalize like I'm helping the company. And so that's been like probably one of the best things.
Framing to your original question about whether or not it was helpful is absolutely yes, but it's really hard to solve for the thing that is difficult about having co-founders. That's, I think, what Arthur's kind of describing. Like, we're basically married to each other in an abusive relationship, and the abusive part is the company. Eats all your time, has really, really hard problems all the time.
Drinks too much.
What I think we saw during what we saw during the fundraising experience is, if you were a solo co-founder going into what we're doing, investors are looking for a reason to say no. Like, they just need one.
Yeah.
They're looking for the one thing that, like, this is too risky. Like, I'm going to mitigate my risk. There'll be another one. I'll move on. And where could that have been true for us? It's like, I think this sounds really complicated. I don't think you can build it. In that case, I can chime in and say, hey, look, like, we're maintaining 10 years of Microsoft, like, bespoke made to so many different sizes, shapes, and forms of companies. No problem. This is going to be totally fine. And I've dealt with HIPAA before.
Yeah.
Hey, this is healthcare. Do you really know enough? I think we're set.
Yeah.
Hey, this is operationally intensive. It requires you to wear a ton of different hats all times of day. You need to be able to sell into people who don't want to talk to you. You need to be able to actually make it work and fit their needs when the formal product or whatever, like, Daniel's going to be over there doing with, like, his box of things to tinker with, actually doesn't yet fit those actual things. How do you fill those gaps? How do you actually get there? How do you stick it all together? I mean, door knocking, chase off the front lawn with a power drill when selling solar, whole bunch of different stuff. We had something for basically any objection. I don't know how you'd have that as one person.
It's tough, dude.
Yeah, actually, can we flip that question? So do you still have, like, are you still a solo founder?
Yeah, man.
So yes, but, like, I have my whole dev team that has equity, that has invested in the company. So, like, I have I have my own Ukrainian guy, but there's like 8 of them, and like they're my team that I work with every day. So it's like,
You have 8 devs?
No, I have 8 people on that team. So I have project manager, designer, QAs, front end, back end developer, all that kind of stuff. So it's a good little, like, unit I have.
Yeah.
And they've got, like, almost 20% equity in the company. So it's like they're a co-founder.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So yeah, man. So but I still have to do. So even though I do have a co-founder, because, like, I can bounce all my ideas off of them. At the end of the day, like, all of the operational ideas, the marketing ideas, all that stuff is just myself, and so I'm just whiteboarding shit. I'm like, that makes sense. I don't know, maybe not. So I've always would have loved to have, like, you know, like a person that I could like, or a person that could tell me an idea before I have to think of it first. You know.
Yeah.
It would have been nice. Yeah.
What's kept you from, like, I'm sure you've met some fantastic folks in the industry. I haven't been here for a little while. Like,
yeah.
What's kept you from bringing anybody on board? Just not a right fit yet?
Dude, well, I have one person I'm bringing on for ops. It's
Okay.
a girl I went to college with. Yeah, so I'm bringing her on more like account management and then ops. But dude, I'm just, like, super picky. I have a very much, like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself mentality. Like I'm also, like, really bad at delegating. So, but this isn't about me. Actually, I'm good at delegating once I know that, like, you're ready for the task, and then I'll just let you do anything you want. But before that, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna handle this. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyways, not about me, guys. Not about me. How are you guys going to grow your current target market? Is it mostly, like, the channel partners, like you mentioned, like more health platforms that you can work with, or is it expanding into allowing independents to just use your platform? Like, what are the ways you guys are going to grow?
It's a great question. I think there's a lot of avenues ahead of us, and as we learn more, I think the answers will become more clear. We've been experiencing great growth as it is, but if you think about the way the healthcare landscape is arrayed, there are literally, like, millions and millions of patients who need healthcare, and the folks who can serve it, at least in the mental health space, you have 50,000 psychiatrists, 80,000 psychologists, a few like psychiatric trained nurse practitioners, like 15,000, and you have 200,000 therapists. And so that's your, like, essentially your toolbox. Those are the folks who can do it.
Very cool.
And some portion of them are located in private practices or group practices. Some portion of them are located in, like, larger healthcare institutions. And so any way that we go about solving this problem, assuming that we stay with the idea of, like, actually providing synchronous therapy as like the method of intervention on mental health, then we have to get in front of the clinicians in those places and of those license types. So it's kind of like, every permutation of like the growth story includes the clinicians in some way. That's why we keep saying like we're clinician focused, is because I think most companies approach it from the perspective of acquire patients first and then figure out the clinicians. That's exactly what's led to the gap of like they can't hire or keep or retain these clinicians,
exactly.
like keeping them happy. And we've been able to because we provide them a superior experience. So they give us more hours week over week over week. And so it's like kind of that mindset that's like underlying our strategy.
And then I don't know why I forgot to ask you this. What is your guys' business model? How do you make money? Is it on a per transaction basis, or you charge them for the calendar? Like, where do you guys make money at?
Yeah, so right now we make money on an hourly basis. So we take a small cut of the revenue that the clinician makes. Right now we're not charging the clinicians for the software pieces, right? We're giving them calendar and video platform and availability management and increasing features on that end. But there's certainly good analogs in the space for ways that people are willing to pay, like a SaaS fee. So it's totally something we're considering on the table.
Very cool. Yeah, it's so funny again because I'm watching you guys do in the exact opposite. What's funny though is everyone I talk to, because we're an all-in-one tool minus booking. Everyone I talk to, like, if you could go back in time, what would you do? And I always say, I fucking wish I had just built a really good calendar first, and then because that the calendar, if you take my fitness company or even like a therapist company, there's like progress tracking, there's like your calendar, there's your notes, all that stuff is like has to be an all-in-one, and then booking can be an all-in-one on its own. It doesn't have to have all this stuff. You can
Corey, how much would you pay for that, man?
We're about to build it right now, I'll tell you what. But no, like that's the thing is like I always say, like I wish I just started with a calendar and then I could have gotten a shit ton of people on it and then grown. And unfortunately I didn't do that, but here we are. So it's really cool that you guys did that, because that's literally my advice to any SaaS founder is like find the one thing that you can build a one-off product that can actually be a full business and then expand from there. So super jealous.
Danny's pointed that out to us many times. He's like, I've heard so many times that the calendar problem is super hairy, and then also did it himself, basically built Calendly from the ground up in a HIPAA compliant manner. But then Corey, like I'm kind of laughing, not because don't understand your situation, but like pretty much every time we talk to somebody who's like got a business that involves like managing individual users, like the calendar problem comes up, and then Danny's like, +1 to just sell the calendar.
Exactly. Literally though.
Can we spin this off? Like
it's like it's such a good idea. I wish I had done it. So
Your laptop's about to die, bro.
What we got? We're 10%. We're chilling. We got a few questions left.
So just to give you the other side, because I do think that is still my takeaway, and I stand by. Like I think we've done the right thing in sort of keeping that at the core. The one or maybe two gotchas with going calendar first is one of the things that we found is that the calendar is buried at the center of the core problems for many people, and it's one of the things that is responsible for those problems that they hate, loathe, are super frustrated with at the end of the day. But it's often, for a lot of people, not the obvious reason that it's an issue. And so in a lot of situations, it's usually calendar plus something that's the perfect solution.
Yeah, exactly.
But calendar alone, at least in our space, is like a slightly incomplete thing. And so that's where we've done a lot of operational work and additional builds, adding things like daily. So I think, I don't know that I would have done anything different in hindsight. On the other hand, prepare yourself, because it is a heck of a lift, and I am happy for you that you're coming in with the other piece.
Oh, for sure.
And that can just click in.
Dude, I've been designing the calendar for like 3 years. I have like pages and pages and pages. I mean, it's not done, but it's like I've got like.
You're a calendar nerd, huh?
Yeah, I'm ready to go, dude.
Wow.
Well, if you end up getting stuck on some back end stuff and you want to peek over my shoulder a little bit,
we'll talk about it. Send me over some specs. Yeah, there we go. Very cool, guys. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time, but really quickly, I guess. First of all, what can people get out of this podcast? Like, I'm just going to delete all that really quick. Here we go. One thing I was going to ask actually is that, what do you guys want from the audience? Like, can they send you practitioners? Can they sign up for your platform? Can they, like, are you guys hiring? Like, what are you guys looking for from the episode?
I mean, we would love any experts in the space, especially folks who have run and grown successful private practices, or who have dealt with the problems that we've been discussing from both the clinician and the patient side.
Mm-hmm.
If they're clinicians themselves and are looking for an opportunity, like we're always looking for great folks and
Cool.
would love to have applications. And then surprisingly, like small number of people who have been doing like healthcare infrastructure tech successfully.
Mm-hmm.
And a large part of this is like not just helping the clinicians, but having that plug into the other pieces that they need or into the big like healthcare players' systems. I'm sure what you were saying earlier about like CRMs, it's actually called EHRs or EMRs. Yeah, and it's like this like the huge hairy space. But that's just one example. But like folks who have tech experience in healthcare would love to talk to them as well.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Like just, filling out pieces.
And where do you guys, like, last question here, where do you guys see the company in the next, like, let's say 5 years? Like 5 years from now, where are you guys at? If we don't have a good exit, where are you at?
Yeah, the only reason we wouldn't have a good exit is if we're just
you could have one
about
in
to
6
go
years.
IPO.
You could have a good exit.
Yeah.
See, I'm not saying you're not going to have one. I'm saying in 5 years, maybe that exit's coming, but where is the software at? Where are you guys at with the company?
That's a good question. Do you want to
You're
take
talking
a
about
stab?
the product piece by itself.
Yeah, if you want to do product, that's kind of what I'm most curious about is like where does the product evolve over the next 5 years?
Yeah.
So I think one thing I wanted to mention first is I think it would be worthwhile to back things up a little bit and really talk about like what did we mean when we say the supply side gap with clinicians in mental health or even the mental health crisis. I think that's a buzzword or a phrase that a lot of people have heard about, especially so over the past year or two, and it doesn't often get unpacked as to really what that means. Something that I think really helped it hit home for me as to like what's actually being said here about, hey, like mental health is a problem for a lot of people, or it's increasingly becoming an issue. Yeah, we all like struggled through quarantine, had like varying issues, whatever. What's really going on there? There was one set that like really hit this home, and it was the realization that if you are between the ages of 18 and 35, the number one most likely cause of your death is an accident. It's getting hit by a meteor, or like car crash, whatever. But the number two cause of your death, the number two most likely reason for you dying between those ages is you.
Yeah.
You choosing to be the cause of your death. And that is a really, really tough thing to realize, and to doubly so realize that it's getting worse, not better. And I think a crazy thing for all of us was sort of seeing, oh man, this is like such a huge, massive problem. Like, I understand why now it's referred to as a crisis. Why isn't everyone seeing this? Why is everyone kind of putting up these barricades and throwing things in the way that just sort of stand between the people who need help and the people who are dedicating their entire lives to trying to solve that, the clinicians? State licensure, different platforms, work only for me 5 days a week, and you can't also see those 5 that you're helping in your burgeoning private practice. What's up with all the barriers? And so I think 5 years from now, if we can remove 10% of those, if scheduling with a therapist really easily isn't this ridiculous game of call as many as you can possibly force yourself to while you're in a depressive hole and you can't even motivate yourself to get out of bed, becomes click a button and get in front of the person who can actually give you that help. The therapists, the psychiatrists, the psychologists all want to help. The patients all really need help. What the heck is all this stuff in the middle? If we can get rid of it in the next 5 years, I think it'll be amazing.
Boom, dude.
Mic drop.
We are Legion. Boom. Don't drop that mic. Just kidding. But that was an awesome conclusion. I might even put that in the beginning of the podcast, actually, so that it's so it's more front and center. But awesome, guys. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, Corey.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'll probably see you guys at the gym soon. We need another workout, guys.
Yeah.
Come to Golds.
Yeah.
I go
Let's
to
go
Golds.
right now.
I go to Golds. Yeah, we'll get a lift in soon, though.
Wait, is that like a violation of your contract?
To go to Golds?
Yeah. Don't you have to only go to LA Fitness or Crunch? What the heck, man?
Ooh, did they ask you which gym you go
Yeah,
to?
they're like, we want that $30 from you, or this is off. But no, hopefully we'll land Golds in the next couple of years too. So
Come on.
blessings. Yeah, that'd be so sick because I always go to Golds wherever I live. So it's like it'd be so cool to be like, yeah, you're using my app, motherfucker. Yeah,
That'd be
so
sick.
That's goals. But yeah, guys, it was a pleasure. And that's why we strive.
Thanks, man.
That's right.
Damn. Good stuff, guys. I wanted to thank you for watching this entire episode of Why We Strive. Be sure you head to whywestrive.com and subscribe so every Tuesday you can see incredible interviews with some of the best tech founders, investors, and creatives in the industry. Have an amazing day, and don't forget to keep striving.